I want to bring in Sharia Smith, who is president of the American Federation of Government Employees, Local 252, which represents 2,800 workers at the Department of Education. Sharia, thank you. I know you're the head of the union, but you also lost your job. So what has the last 24 hours been like for you and for your colleagues?
Whirlwind, but it's not just been the last 24 hours. It's been since the start of this new administration. We have experienced mass and unexplained terminations of some of our highest performers. We've experienced rampant unprofessionalism where people are receiving termination letters without even the correct position, or termination letters stating that they had low performance, but their performance ratings exceeded expectations. And so, we've just experienced an utter disrespect for, my colleagues and me, and just a critical misunderstanding of what we do at this agency.
One of the things we just played, and I mentioned, Sharia, was the president saying, well, these people aren't showing up for work, but also the Education Secretary, Linda McMahon, gave her views on the job cuts last night, and I want to play that for you.
What we did today was to take the first step of eliminating what I think is bureaucratic bloat. And that's not to say that a lot of the folks, it's a humanitarian thing, too. A lot of the folks that are there, they're out of a job. But we wanted to make sure that we kept all of the right people and the good people.
All the right people, all the good people. Do you have a sense, because you just mentioned some examples, do you have a sense of how they chose or why they chose to let the people go that they did?
No, and I have a sense that no one in the U.S. Department of Education who should be making those choices actually made those choices. We still to this day do not know why people had been terminated on February 12th or why employees were placed on administrative leave. What we do know, especially for the administrative leave employees who have now been terminated, that 77 of them were placed on administrative leave. 70 of them were women. 50 of them were Black. 67 of them were people of color. We still have not, even though they were placed on administrative leave January 31st, we still don't have any explanation from anyone in this agency about why they made that decision. What did they do that their colleagues in the same positions did not do? And so, the question about bloat, it just boggles my mind because we are actually the smallest federal agency, only 4,000 employees nationwide. We have been understaffed for some time. And, a lot of the statements that have been made by the detractors of the U.S. Department of Education indicate a lack of understanding or knowledge, or maybe just willful misunderstanding of what we do and who we are.
And I think that's important. So help us to understand. We'd like to give you a platform about the services that are performed by the Department of Education that people rely on, even if they don't know they're coming from you folks. What are those services that most people might not realize?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a former teacher. So before I became a lawyer and worked for the U.S. Department of Education, I taught in the state of Texas. And when I was a teacher, my curriculum, the testing that my students underwent was all dictated by the state of Texas. However, the reason why I was able to become a teacher is because I was a recipient of Pell Grants in public service loan forgiveness from the U.S. Department of Education that enabled me to leave Harvard University and teach fifth grade, making $30,000 a year. When you eliminate the U.S. Department of Education, you are eliminating the ability for quality teachers and well-qualified teachers to be in the schools. And by the way, the state examinations that my students took, they were the highest performing in their school district. Why? Because they had a teacher like me from Harvard University. There is no way great quality people, especially ones who have undertaken significant student loan debt, can become teachers without the U.S. Department of Education. And so when you eliminate us based on low test scores or based on curriculum, which is, again, controlled by the state, you're eliminating the ability for new teachers to come into the classroom, and you are eliminating any oversight from the federal government to states who are currently in control of the curriculum and the test scores.
Important information for people to know. Sharia Smith, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Chris.
it.